Welcome back to IGN Live from Gamescom. Now it's time to take a look at space trading and combat game Elite Dangerous. David Braben's here to tell us all about it. Dave, welcome to the show.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Tell us about this game. This game has a long history.
Oh, it does.
Is that right?
I wrote the game way back in 1982, released in 1984 with Ian Bell while we were at university. And that's very nearly 30 years ago.
Yeah, and so this is the fourth installment in the Elite series.
That's right.
So Elite Dangerous, what do we need to know here?
Well, you start the game with a small ship, a small amount of money, and you can do whatever you like.
Okay.
You can go anywhere. You can be a pirate, you can trade, you can be an assassin. But the beauty is the freedom. You can just head out wherever you want to go. I want to ultimately be an explorer, tool up a big ship and just head out into the unknown, because the galaxy we have here is truly vast. It's our real galaxy out there. Every single star in the night sky is in the game. Ridiculous number of 400 billion star systems.
How is that possible? It sounds like you say ridiculous. It's crazy.
It's
what,
magic.
400 billion stars in the Milky Way?
So we have something like 160,000 star systems that we've typed in from real data.
Okay.
That's all the stars you can see in the night sky. Something like 6,000 or 7,000 of those you can see with the naked eye, and the ones you can see with telescopes. But beyond a certain distance, even Hubble can't actually resolve the smallest stars. So we then use something called procedural generation, where we know they're there. We can see a mist of stars sort of looking like smoke, but we don't know where the individual ones are. So we populate them. We essentially make up where they are using algorithms and all this sort of thing. We can see the galaxy here in front of us. These are all real star systems you can see in the night sky. They appear in a constellation called Bootis that you can see from the northern hemisphere very easily. And as we zoom out, you see all these little dots are real star systems. But as we go further out, we've had to make those up procedurally, and we have the entire galaxy. The brightest stars you can see here are also real. These are what we call Type O stars, really, really big, really bright, that are a long way away. But the great thing is, this is our galaxy, and the night sky in the game is just a rendering of it, and we've made it match very carefully by introducing dust and things like that, so the night sky looks just right.
So, even though this is the fourth game in the Elite series, but is it true it's actually a sequel to Frontier First Encounters?
That's right.
Which is a game that's almost 20 years old.
That's right.
So it's been almost 2 decades since we've
It's
revisited
been a long,
Elite.
long time, that's true.
A long time coming. So why now?
The stars have aligned, so to speak.
Yeah.
Pun not really intended, in the sense that a number of things have happened. I think we've not seen publisher-based games coming along that are in this sort of genre, this sort of space games, mainly because we've seen an awful lot of first-person shooters.
Sure.
And I think that's partly because that they are very risk-averse, understandably so, publishers, but the problem with that is the last big sort of, if you like, AAA space game was probably Freelancer. And it didn't do all that well and cost a lot to make, so they were they were skeptical.
Sure.
But there has been a pent-up demand, and one of the great things, when I said the stars aligned, essentially the fact that we can sell directly to customers now online, and Kickstarter, for which we're forever grateful. The ability to go to Kickstarter, all those people who wanted to play the game, we put clearly what the game we wanted to make was, and all those people who wanted that same game have joined us. So we're developing this game for ourselves, and by ourselves I include all those wonderful Kickstarter backers. And actually the game now is being played by Commander Karash, one of our backers, who is expert at playing the game. We are playing now live online. We're taking a big risk, but if anyone joins us, they may well be real players out there. Even with a network connection here, we're very confident how robust our connection is, so fingers crossed. In fact, there is a guy now who is online, Commander Backer 19712.
I see.
Hasn't bothered setting his name.
So you start out the game, you got your ship, you have a little money in your pocket.
That's right.
Then you set off, as you say, do whatever you like. What do people tend to do?
They do whatever they like.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of vigilantism. So the great thing is we sort of try and discourage player kills by putting bounty on the head of people who've done that. But that bounty you can claim by killing them, and actually you don't get a criminal record for doing that because they've already done that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Interestingly, here we see the internal habitats of one of the stations. You see all the buildings and things like that. One of the backers actually worked out that the total area of this is an 8-kilometer radius space station habitat, is roughly the same playable area as GTA 4.
Wow.
So these are really huge stations. It is crazy, yeah.
All right, so can we go to this planet? Or is that, in the game, is that a possibility?
We don't go down to the planet's surface yet.
Okay.
That will come, but it will come later after release.
Okay. So, as of now, the game takes place entirely in the cockpit, or is there any?
It does indeed.
Okay.
What we've done, we've carefully planned this. I mean, the important thing here is to have very, very disciplined development so that we can make sure each part of the game is absolutely solid before we move on to the next. We started off getting what I call the moment-to-moment gameplay right, which is really important. That's where the feel of the ship, the combat, all of that sort of thing. So we're currently in beta, but during the alpha, the first alpha phase, we got the combat right in single-player game. The other thing we're doing, some novel multiplayer stuff in the way we're doing those servers. We're very excited about that, but it needed a lot of testing. We did that next, and then we started building out the game.
Sure.
I liken it to building a house. We've got great foundations, great walls. We've now plastered the walls. We put the roof on. The stage we're at now is we're now putting the furniture in. We're putting in the gameplay.
Yeah.
And so we're building out the game more and more. Parts of the room, the odd room might feel empty, but the more we put in, the more things you can do. And then the end of this year, excuse me, the end of this calendar year, we will have that game, which will be cockpit-based still.
Okay.
And then we start building out new features. We're not going to stop. We're going to start building the ability to walk around inside your ship, to get out, to land on planets, to get out into buggies, to drive them around the huge, great surfaces of these planets, to interact with other players, maybe stash cargo there that's waiting for it to cool down because it's stolen or whatever. We're also looking at other people inside your ship. This is why we've got multiple seats in the bigger ships. And so many things going forward that are very, very exciting, exploring the surface of the planet, big game hunting even, going into the space stations, boarding other ships. All very exciting, zero-G combat.
Is there any sort of narrative, or do you just leave it up to the players entirely?
Yes, there is a narrative, but it's not a conventional narrative. If the problem with a massive multiplayer game is it doesn't make sense if every player has a rescue the princess story.
Sure.
Because then those princesses aren't that valuable. But there is a story based on your own progression. So, for example, when you get to a certain reputation or rating, people might approach you to join organizations, things like that. But also there's a great emergent story that people are starting to see now, where all the various different players can sort of join together in this. We've seen rebellions happening in the world. We're starting to see that, where terrorists might be polluting some of the goods. Suddenly a good becomes illegal. We've seen that in the game with something called progenitor cells, which is something that rich people buy to keep them young. However, when terrorists pollute those, we made it illegal, and players found they were able to sell the same goods at much higher value on the black market. But the other thing is, if there's a rebellion happening, if that rebellion succeeds, then the government changes. That might affect your gameplay in a way.
Sure.
And so all the players, the way we determine whether little battles, these wars, win, is how many players join in. You can join in on the side of the rebels, the oppressors. You could run guns to them, or you could even fight on their behalf. But flipping it round, you could side with the oppressors. Now, the more players side with one side, that side will win. And you realise you might not like the consequences. So, for example, if the rebels win, wages on that place might go up, where they're working in the mines very cheaply, and the price of your next ship will go up because the cost of the metal goes up.
Sure.
So you might choose to side with the oppressors, justifying to yourself, they're not real. They're not real people, they're just in a game.
Yeah. So we're seeing some combat here.
We are, yes. So he obviously encountered someone. We're near a star here. We see all the magnetic effects, the surface effects here. All this is being modeled procedurally, but we've made it look as real as possible. These solar flares here happen very slowly. Just changing the look at the debris. We've seen coltan, which is an ore from which you make tantalum. And there you go, he's just scooped it up. When you have a battle and cargo comes out from a ship, you can scoop it up. That's how you can make money from wreckage.
I see.
So going back to the star, some people have said, these things happen too slowly. But the point is, we've tried to make the whole world as real as possible. So hence things like no artificial gravity, but also, for me, space is such a wonderful place. We're trying to make it as real as possible, but make the game as fun within that setting as we can.
Sure. How sci-fi do you get? Is it are there aliens? Or is it supposed to be grounded in a reality?
It's grounded, but there are aliens.
Okay.
To find. They're a long way away, and people will find them.
Okay. So you guys are kickstarted in late 2012.
That's right.
The backers gained early access. What sort of feedback have you gotten from them?
the feedback has been phenomenal. I mean, all through development, we've run something called a design discussion forum where people have had input on design, which is a real two-way conversation. So we've changed the design on that basis. And then in December of last year, we went live with the first alpha, so people started playing the game. The feedback has been truly incredible, truly positive. And I think it's a really new experience designing a game and building a game truly in the open. Mm-hmm. We've not had any NDAs, no restrictions. Right. People were streaming the game from day one, warts and all. And I'm really proud, actually. The team have done such a phenomenal job.
All right, what are we seeing here? Right,
so we're in a trading ship. We're heading towards, in fact, it's diverted to an unidentified signal source. This happens a lot. It's 0.21 light seconds away, so it's a long way, but we're actually traveling very quickly towards it. We can see it could be anything. It could be a piece of debris, it could be a trap, it could be a wrecked ship, and I genuinely don't know what's there. The great thing here about playing online also is you might find other players joining us who've seen the same thing, are coming looking at the same, and they may attack us, or we may have an opportunity to attack them.
Do you find that most players play legally or illegally?
Amazingly, most players play legally. They are vigilantes, bounty hunters, and all that sort of thing. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's great to see how people play, but most people generally play good.
How do you play? You play a good guy?
I play a mix. I end up testing it a lot. Say, what happens if I do this?
Sure.
I try and play good as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we hope this game will mostly people will play co-op rather than PvP.
Yeah.
We're setting the rules to make griefing not very attractive, to make PvE much better than PvP. Sure. Anyway. I mean, one of the things in our rules, if you like, is we have this organization called the Pilots Federation, where all players are members, but all non-players aren't members. And what they do is if one of their members are killed, they put a bounty on the head of whoever killed them. And so there's a huge restoring force to go and attack the person who attacked another player.
Do you have a home base? Like headquarters?
No, you don't. You can have, and there is a secret world that people who back the game during Kickstarter can find as soon as we make that available to people as we go through the beta.
Okay. So if you're killed, what happens?
If you're killed, you're dead, but you have an insurance policy. You have an escape capsule which comes out, and that takes you back to the nearest station where you can have your replacement ship, and then you carry on.
Nice.
We have got the theory of playing what we've called sort of iron ass mode, if you like, where when you die, you die.
Yeah.
And that would be a separate from the other players, if you like.
So if you've never played an Elite game before, how friendly is the experience when you first start out?
It's very friendly. I wouldn't go to the more anarchic systems because they're very, very dangerous.
Okay.
But if you've not played before, you can go places that are pretty well completely safe.
Yeah.
You know, you travel there. So here is a reasonably safe place. We're going to Tango Dock, which is taking the trade goods from where we came from. We've got a Viper, which is a combat-leaning ship, so we're actually pretty tough here. But if you see all those dots in the night sky, you can visit every single one of them. And that is the real night sky when viewed from here.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. Yeah, that's so insane.
It's very, very silly. So, and you see the galaxy here in the distance. So if we look at that, that's what the galaxy would look like from this place. The galaxy is truly huge. You saw the galactic map earlier. If we travel up out of the plane of the galaxy, you can start to see the galactic center. So this night sky looks a lot like ours, but the further we travel, especially if you go up out of the galactic plane, here we see the galaxy, you'll start to see the galactic center as something really bright. And it's an amazing sight. And that's real. If you travel to these real star systems, these are real things in the night sky, it would really look like that.
Is all this data readily available, like online from NASA? Where did you get all this?
We got it from lots of different star surveys, all of which are public.
Okay.
We've gone and curated them, we've worked out where the data overlaps, where we think it's correct, where there are mistakes. We put in all this dust to try and make the night sky as best match the real night sky as we can. But it's as real as we can go. Here we're looking at a place which is entirely procedurally generated. And what we've done is we've made the main names look like systematic names, because when players fly out into the unknown, they'll see these names and they can name the systems themselves. They can stake a claim, if you like.
Wow.
And it's wonderful. It's like sort of a real-life gold rush. If people find a place with sort of heavy metals, with gold there, or platinum or whatever, they could get rich from it.
So look, when we're in cockpit mode, it makes me think this might work well with Oculus. Oculus Rift. Have you guys been working with that?
We have. Well, the great thing is, I said at the start, we're making this game for ourselves.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing with that is we're all fans of technology. You know, hence we're using these great big joysticks. We're using X52s, which we like a lot from Cytec. But it's great to go back to the old style PC games that are we're making them much more complicated. You know, that's what I want. I don't want a game that's been dumbed down.
Sure.
You know, we're writing this game for ourselves. We say, yes, I want to be able to divert power to the shields. You know, I want all this complexity. As long as I can just sit down and play the game, that's great. Here we see flying over the planet Chango, which is largely a water world where fish is one of the exports. We're writing this game for ourselves anyway, and we want to support the tech that we're excited about. And early on in the development, you know, a lot of the team actually have Oculus Rifts themselves, the old DK1s.
Sure.
And the reason we wanted to play that, we thought, well, actually, we planned it from the start. So as you move your head around, the displays pop up.
Right.
And so we're actually using Oculus as an input, as you can sort of see.
Yeah.
But the other great thing with this is we thought we'd bring it forward. We thought, actually, it's not that much work to support.
Yeah.
So we added it to the alpha as a Christmas present to people.
Oh, nice.
We also added support for things like Track IR, where it detects your head movement, and support for stereo TVs, where you get stereo depth if you wear the LCD glasses. And that's because we're all tech fans. You know, we're all not just game developers, we're gamers as well. And we wanted to support this kit because it's exciting.
Yeah. You say you want, you want a challenge, you want a complicated game. You've been making games for a long time. Do you think games over the years have gotten easier?
Some have. They've got a bit dumbed down. I think the danger with writing a game for an imagined audience rather than for yourself, because a lot of the big publishers, a lot of the people aren't really gamers, and I think that's a shame, is you can then tune it just so. I think especially some console games have become easier than they need to be. If you play a game back from the 90s, they're way harder.
Sure.
You know, and so I think what's happened is we're seeing a bit of a resurgence. We're seeing a return to that spirit of games, you know, being harder to play, but for the right reasons, because it's fun. Oh dear, he's being attacked.
Uh-oh.
Let's see who's attacking him. It's an Eagle, which is a smaller, but also a combat-leaning ship. It's behind us, attacking us. And our shields are down, which is quite bad.
What can you tell us about our cockpit? Like, what can we see here? What's the information?
Okay, so on the right here, we see the 3 bars. We can see that power is equally distributed between our weapons, our engines, and our systems, which is things like shields. If we want to run away, we can put more and more power into our engines, which become more powerful, but that depletes the power to the weapons. If we're in combat, putting power to your weapons is great, because the weapons then recharge much more quickly. So all of this is about tuning it. You just get a slight advantage that way. You don't have to do that. And a lot of players, when they first play it, don't bother with it. But it's one of those things, it's having some depth, having something to get your teeth into, so you can then adjust over time. All of these systems that you can see now, by looking right, generate heat as well. We have a wonderful mechanic, which is essentially a stealth mechanic, where the graph on the left, where it says 57%, is the heat that's currently in the ship. As that heat builds up, we become more and more visible on other people's scanners, because that's how they detect you. So you can go stealthy by turning your shields off, turning all your systems off, even life support you can turn off. And so it makes your ship really cold and really, really hard to see. So here we're attacking, there's a Sidewinder down over the planet. His shields are down but are recharging. So when you target someone, as you can see Hayward Pool, you can see his hull, and you can also see how far through his shields are being recharged.
I see.
You can also see where we're hitting him. We can target individual systems on his ship as well. We don't have to target the whole ship. As soon as his shields are down, we can try nailing, for example, his cargo bay door, and maybe some of the cargo will burst out. Or we can try aiming at the cockpit, take out the glass, and he loses his head-up display, and also we could do damage that way. You can see the fire. The ship's now on fire. We can see the different strengths of different parts of his ship as we scan him. There we go. There he's gone. Now, we've got a bounty on us because we attacked him, not the other way around.
So if you want to go after a bounty,
No, other players now will be coming after us.
how do you locate your bounty though?
You find a ship and you can scan them and it will tell them what criminal record they have.
I see.
You actually scan them using a module on your ship that you can choose to install. We can see that we're now wanted, and now there's a bounty of 1,400 credits on our head. So this is Commander Karash, who is he's been playing live on the forums. He's a backer of the game, but he's also an elite ambassador here with us at Gamescom, who's been demoing the game, and has been playing it right from the start of the alpha, so he's really good at it.
So I probably wouldn't go after his bounty then. I'd probably just let him go.
Oh, he'll win. We've also now got ship-to-ship comms in the beta, which is wonderful. You can hail people and talk to them over audio. You can also send text messages. Here you can see some of the messages that have come and gone between the different ships. And you can also see your friends list.
So the scope of this game is obviously massive. What have you found has been the greatest challenge putting all this together?
Oh, a lot of different challenges. I think getting it to feel really good has been a big challenge, but I think probably the biggest challenge is getting the networking to rely. The internet to be reliable. The internet is a strange beast, and
it certainly is.
Some connections are great, some connections are not so good. But we've been doing it for a while now, since the alpha, and that's why we were confident to do here at Gamescom. The network here is quite variable, as I'm sure you know. But we're pretty constant. We do a lot of things locally. We do a lot of things peer-to-peer. So. And then the rest is all server moderated. But even if there is lag on the network, we do predictive movement. So hopefully it's not too bad for the player. And this hopefully looks fine, even though we're playing live online now.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah. What's the business model? Is this a subscription game?
No. So you buy the game. You can buy into the beta today. You can play today. It's £50, and you can join us. The game itself is going to be £35. You can pre-order it now. It's coming at the end of this calendar year. That will enable you to play. If you join the beta, you can play now. We will then do paid updates over the time, and that's what we'll do. As we bring out some of the new features we talked about, like landing on planets, like boarding ships, which you won't have to take, but you can take. We'll also sell, I don't believe in pay to win, but I do believe in things like paint jobs and things like that you can buy now. We have everything from Union Jacks to dark paint jobs to bright blue to white or whatever. It's great fun, and people are having a lot of fun in the game now.
Well, the game is fascinating. We have a lot of games come by the IGN Live show here, but I think it's safe to say nothing is quite on this scale. So good luck with the rest of development. It really looks fascinating.
Well, thank you very much for having us here, and thank you very much to Commander Karash for flying while I've just been doing the rabbiting.
Stay tuned. We have so much more to show you here. IGN Live from Gamescom, presented by Dead Island 2, right after these messages.